Well, yeah, he doesn't have any more warrants. He has to go to court on the 27th. But he was supposed to, remember I was talking about police court stuff? Well, I guess the lady that was doing it got fired, and it was. She was like, oh my God, I'll figure it out, and talk with the owner, and yeah, you're about to have a problem too. Because they're funded with grants and all the money. Yeah, shut up! I'm not gonna die, what's wrong with you?
Alright, I'm here at the park with the Inspire 2 and the LITCHI app. Okay, before I forget, because I'm going to film the rest of this at home, but before I forget, LITCHI, you have a major league safety concern with the landing gear switch on the Inspire 2. Your app allows retraction of the landing gear while it's still sitting on the ground. If you do this while you're using the LITCHI app, it just drops to the ground with the camera and everything. Fortunately, my props were running when I did this, and I was just able to throttle out of it and take off. I didn't want to take off, but it saved my camera from hitting the ground, and that's the key. The X4S, all right, fine, hits the ground. The X5S, that was kind of pricey. The X7 camera, no. The X7 camera should never hit the ground. It is hot in Phoenix, okay? It is not supposed to be this hot in Phoenix winter. I am sweating, but that's okay, because I'm doing what I love, and I love what I'm doing. With the FPV mode, please make it so that the camera will follow the yaw stick just like in the regular tablet mode. Because when you're in a FPV mode with the goggles on and everything, which is fantastic. I'm going to get to that when I get home. But when you have the goggles on, and you turn off head tracking, so that, because you can't really, I can see where that might get easy over time, but you have to be able to toggle between head tracking with the camera and having the camera just follow the yaw of the vehicle, of the aircraft. So that has to go in there. Now what happens is when you're in FPV and you turn off head tracking so it doesn't move with your head, and you turn off head tracking, and you turn the aircraft, the camera doesn't move at all. The camera just stays where it is, and the plane goes all over the place. And sometimes it does, you have to force the camera back to where it's supposed to be, facing the nose of the aircraft. So please, LITCHI, fix that. Other than that, it is a flawless, and that is a small concern, 2 small concerns so far, with those 2 features that I'm testing today. Get those fixed, and those things will be, oh man, this app is at 85% good right now. Fixing those couple of small things will bring it up to 92% good. And I mean that. All right. Love you guys. See you in a minute. Now, this is a descent, and through FPV, the level of confidence that you get with this app is unreal. Completely unreal. The feeling of proximity is a little weird. I think mainly because the Inspire 2 is such a large drone. But I think a angle meter on the camera would cure that. I mean, side to side, you just kind of have to guess and hope that those blades don't cut everything up on some tree or some kid. But close to the trees, going in on an angle, not a problem at all. All right, now here's an interesting shot. I was going to pan and kind of orbit around that tree, but then I just kept the sticks forward and turned my body around and was able to continue forward, face backwards with the camera in one move. What the LITCHI app does is it turns your neck into a third joystick. And it's pretty fantastic. Moving towards these 2 trees, not an issue. I mean, with a tablet, I would never attempt it, particularly with my eyes closed. But with this, not a problem at all. I did keep the proximity sensors on, just in case. Now, this tree was just a flyover, but I attempted an orbit. An orbit in FPV is, at least now, near impossible. I wouldn't advise it, but with a flyover and a look down, great stuff. Now, keep in mind that I'm facing the opposite direction. The garbage can is up a hill and maybe 30 meters away, and I was able to get unreal close to this thing without an issue. Here's something else you can't do without the LITCHI app. That type of speed tracking, keeping angle on the camera, keeping the drone in place, and just a subject coming into view. You just can't do that quickly by hand with the knobs and holding the C1 or C2 buttons. Another proximity try. No sensors going off yet. They went off a little later. This is the same. This is an incline, which is on the other side of the decline from the beginning of the video. Again, no problems. At the top of the hill, I get a sensor beep from the right side, which is weird. I'm not. It stops right here and then goes up. So maybe it's catching that bush down below, or maybe it's catching the rising ground in front. Either way, I had the sensors on. When I'm filming, I would be filming without them anyways. Head tracking sensor, there's no way you could do that by hand and then back with a new subject. Now, this shot would be possible by hand, but highly improbable. Being able to rotate and have the drone move in an entirely different direction, catch a subject, follow that subject, yeah, I got a little hinky there, and follow that subject until you decide to move it out of frame. like at, say, the end of a movie or the beginning of an adventure in a movie. Another rise over these two trees with a look down, zero problems, 100% confidence. And you also got to keep in mind, this is 12 grand worth of drone in the air. And I'm trusting the Litchi app with that. These moves, these camera moves I could probably do by hand with the knobs and the C2 and C1 button, but not likely, not with the smooth, because the X and Y axis are separated in the camera. You can't use them at the same time. And I got a little bold here, but then the sensors kicked in. And I was like, yeah, no. Just kept going through. I was going to get closer, but no. And here the sensors caught completely with that tree on the right. And it stopped me right there. And I think it was going to go up in the air, but it didn't. But I don't know, I think it thought I was headed directly for the tree. You know, again, I'd be flying without sensors on set. And this shot here, between these two trees, I wanted to approach, see where the sensors stopped the drone, about right there, turn and see if the back tree caught. This rising, I don't even know what it's called. I don't even know what you'd call a shot like this. A rising angled parallax with a declining parallax switchback camera shot. It's just nearly impossible by hand. And more handiness with the Litchi app. The goodness never stops. With the Inspire, you can check your landing gear, make sure it's in place, and then boom, touchdown. Okay, that is going to be another awesome part of this whole Litchi thing. I believe, you know, as I'm doing this, because like I said, I'm coming in from a separate industry with a whole different set of rules, and this whole experience with Litchi, and I'm kind of glad it happened, because it's not the tractor this time. This time it's the farmer. And I'm happy it happened. All these experiences make you a better pilot, okay? So I'm becoming a better pilot because of both the good and the bad. Litchi is in part responsible for that. I spent some time at that park with some of the FPV racer guys, giving me enormous amounts of great information. Because I'm new here, just learning how to fly, and they gave me enormous amounts of information. They were really good guys. Thoroughly appreciate what they did for me and what they continue to do. They're just watching them is a learning experience. And one thing I did learn from them is they can't fly tablet. And as a matter of fact, nobody can fly tablet. It should be a given that FPV is the way to fly. Yes, you got to work out the visual observer thing, and I think a pass-through, if Litchi added a pass-through for the camera, that would solve that issue. It's like a little box down in the corner that uses the camera on the phone to pass through and show you what's out in front of you, and you still have the view of the goggles, but you also have a little bit of a view of the world around you, so you can see what's going on without having to remove the goggles. With this experience, with testing the FPV and some of the settings with that, because today I was supposed to test two things, but really all I did was test the FPV, and I've fallen in love with my drone again. You get tired of each other after a while, you need a break. But let me tell you, after working with the Litchi app for a bit, I am truly in love with my drone again. It is a whole new experience. It is so much better. The lag time is super minimal. I really didn't have much of a problem with that. it would be, the drone would be exactly where I needed it to be, and there was no hiccups or breaks in that. Also, another thing to consider with that, another caveat to that is I have a separate dedicated device for that. My old Galaxy S7 Edge that I had before this Note 8, that's all that does. There's 3 apps on there: DJI Go, DJI Go 4, and LITCHI, and that's all it does. That helped with DJI's crash issues with Android and LITCHI's crash issues with Android. I have 0 crashes with LITCHI, 1 or 2 with DJI. So that's another consideration. I am sorry, LITCHI. You guys make an awesome product. I will back you 100%. Not that you need my backing, but I am 100% happy with your product. If you could give us and I'll put a little picture up in a second, if you could give us a camera angle gauge on the side, like right in the eyepiece there, that would be awesome. And really, that's all I could ask for. If you could do something with the FPV and being able to toggle between the head tracking and the aircraft tracking, that would be a big help. But don't really worry about that too much. If that changes too much stuff, because if doing that changes anything in the app, don't do it. Because I want that app to be just the way it is. And if you can add that, great. If you can't, I'm fine. But what I really, really need, what I really, 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 really need is a camera angle for the head tracking through FPV. When you're looking through the goggles and you look down and you look up, there's no way to tell where your camera is zeroed or 90 or 180. So that would be a huge, huge help. Again, love LITCHI. LITCHI is the greatest. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great night.